I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I appreciate that we have echo. Do we have an echo somewhere else?
This one?
Is that a little better? If I hold it over here, can you all hear me? They were last week. Is that any better? If just the one close to me is on?
Not feedback.
Okay. I was just going to start with thanking everybody who is here from the public with us today. We are going to be going into a non-public to start the meeting, so we'll be back shortly. Just to let you know. We can. We're going to pivot just a little bit. Before we go into non-public, I want to recognize somebody who is here in the room with us today who has been incredibly valuable to this district. So at this moment, I would like to thank and recognize Bill Botting for his 27 years of service to the Fall Mountain Regional School District. And I have a few words to say. For nearly 3 decades, Bill has been the backbone of this district. The role of facilities director requires immense dedication, responding to late night emergencies, handling endless phone calls and messages, and managing unpredictable situations that can arise at any moment. Through it all, Bill has been a steady, dependable presence, meeting every challenge with professionalism, patience.
Yes. 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 There you go.
All right, thank you for that moment. At this time, can I have a motion for the approval of minutes of June 8th, public and non-public, June 12th, public and non-public? And a second?
Seconded.
Is there any discussion on any of the minutes?
Yeah, I'm listed as being present and
You were not.
was not.
Which meeting? Yeah.
The June.
The last
first-
one.
Yeah.
June 12th. Okay, I'll fix that.
I also have a correction on the June 8th.
Yep.
On the second page, under old business, it says Jamie questioned whether the additional facility van purchase was still necessary. It wasn't Jamie, it was me.
Thank you. Any other changes? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, the minutes pass. At this moment, I open the floor for public comment. I would like to make a few statements first. I do believe we have a member of the press with us today. Is that the case? Would you mind introducing yourself, please? Thank you. Just so everybody knows, they are on the record both for the district and for the press. I ask that when you come up to the podium that you speak into the microphone and let us know who you are and where you are from. And I would like to make sure we keep this decorum very, very firmly in place. If I could ask at this moment, and yes, we will keep, everybody gets 3 minutes to speak. If you'd like to speak an additional amount of time, it will be after everybody else has had a moment to speak, and then we will welcome you back to the podium. At this time, I would like to invite one of our representatives in the district, Hope Damon, to speak before we open it up again.
It's on. Can you hear me? It says it's green, but it doesn't sound like it's on. Okay, I'll just talk.
Well, talk into it because the people who are remote.
Oh, so it is. Now it's on. Thank you all. I'm State Representative Hope Damon. I live in Croydon. I represent the 9 towns of Sullivan District 8, which include Ackworth and Langdon. And I sit on the House Education Funding Committee. I'm in my 4th year as a state rep and have met many of you previously. And I'm here tonight to just make sure that both board and public are aware of 2 bills that many of us working in education find quite concerning. And they have both passed through the legislative process and are pending the governor's decision as to whether they will be signed, vetoed, or go into law without a signature. So those 2 bills are House Bill 1300 and House Bill 1374. You may have heard about them previously. 1300 would require municipalities, all municipalities in the state of New Hampshire, to have a vote in their municipal November elections this year and also in November 28 to place a tax cap on school district budgets. The language in the bill for those votes, those articles, is very specific And many of us think that it is misleading. It specifically states that if you vote in favor of this proposal, it will not affect education quality. And a lot of us are pretty perplexed as to how that could be. There is not a guarantee that that approach would lower property taxes. It depends on the innumerable variables involved. And there is concern that having the vote in the fall is out of sync with school district budget calendars and with information to voters about the school district budgets. So I'm sure you can perceive my alignment is not with that bill. But whatever your point of view is, I would encourage you to be fully informed about it. And if you have a strong opinion, let the governor's office know what you think, because it's really not certain what her point of view is on it. The second bill, HB 1374, has two significant parts, both of which are relevant to this cooperative school district, or could be. So one makes it much easier for a community to withdraw from a cooperative school district. Unlike the votes that happened this year relating to whether Langdon and Walpole would leave the district or not, if 1374 passes, the individual town votes would be the decision makers. It would not be up to the entire cooperative. So that's one part of that bill, and separately, but it's in the same bill. Legislation is sometimes convoluted. The second part makes it much easier to close a public school. 20 voters can petition a school board to close a school. The school board would be required to hold a public hearing, appropriately noticed 7 days advance. And either at that hearing or in a separate meeting, a majority of the voters attending that meeting would decide whether the school was closed. It takes the decision away from the school board, and it puts it potentially in the hands of a very modest number of voters. And the status of that bill is the same as 1300. They're on the governor's desk for her to decide how to proceed. And as you all probably know, she can either sign, veto, or do neither of those things. And if she doesn't sign or veto, it goes into law without her signature. If a bill is vetoed, it may come up in the fall at the legislature if people wanted to try to override the veto. Happy to answer questions offline. I know you guys have a full agenda and a number of people here, and that is always true on any legislation that I could be helpful with. Appreciate your time and your work.
Before you go, just curious,
Would you mind speaking?
I'm sorry, in the microphone. Just curious, what you think about HB 1610, the retainage yearly. It doesn't affect us here, but it could in future years.
Thank you for the question. And for folks who might not know it by bill number, it's a bill that is also passed through the legislature that decreases the amount of contingency funds that a school district can retain from 5% to 3%. That bill was actually heard in the committee I sit on, Education Funding Committee. I'm going to be directly acknowledge reality here. The Democrats on the committee voted strongly against it. We worked hard to try to convince people that that was giving you all less flexibility and less preparation for unexpected, and we did not prevail. So it went to the House with a ought to pass recommendation and proceeded on through. I'm not in favor of it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak at this moment?
I have a question for the school board. The articles of agreement that you have posted online, are they current? They should be. Refer you to Article 18.
Can you say who you are and where
Oh.
you're from, please?
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Jamie.
I'm Ann Shaughnessy. I'm from North Walpole, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Article 18 basically says that it was amended in March 12th, 2024, and the district agrees that a future warrant article proposing any of the following. And the bottom one is closure of any elementary school. And it says the cost of such expenditure to be apportioned exclusively to the town existing district where the elementary school is located shall be passed or defeated on the basis of votes tallied only in the identified town pre-existing district, with any appropriations for expenditures to be apportioned exclusively to any town or existing district. To me, that indicates that to close a school, there needs to be a warrant article that gets voted on by the town. Is that correct?
If I might.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
So as of now, we're working on a plan on what to do with the North Walpole School. As of now, it's not deemed a closure by state standard. Okay? If and when we get to that point, we will follow the rules of the Articles of Agreement and the rules of the RSAs of the state of New Hampshire. Thank you for your comments.
So you're going to close.
We are not going to have a discussion further at this moment. If you'd like to continue your statement, we are happy to listen.
In your planning that you are speaking of tonight, you also are discussing selling the school. And Article 4 says nothing about that. It says the Fall Mountain Regional School Board shall be empowered to lease such buildings with the district as they deem necessary in the interest of the district. There's no wording that gives you permission to sell. But yet that is your second option.
Thank you for your statement. Is there anybody else who'd like to step up and speak at the moment? Seeing none, we will move to the next item on our agenda. Here, find it. Our next order of business is to have a discussion about the leadership model that we have been under for the last year. At this moment, as the district moves forward to the 26-27 school year, we have made a decision as a school board that the leadership model needs to change. And we look to go forward to a CEO model. At this time, we thank the leadership team that we have here with us today. It's been an interesting year, and you have all poured your heart and soul into this model, and we are grateful. You've done a lot, and we can't fully express how appreciative we are that we've gotten to this point, and we appreciate your support going forward as well. Sorry. At this point, we expect that a CEO responsibility and what that looks like will happen at this moment. Does anybody have anything they would like to add before we go any further?
So just want to point out that this decision was not made lightly, and that we think for the transition between a leadership team model, potentially back to a superintendent model in the future, this gives us a transitionary period where we can have somebody come in as a chief executive officer who has the expertise in moving forward with organizational change. As everybody knows, we really need to spend a lot of time there, especially after what has occurred in the last round of voting with Langdon and Walpole, bringing up some questions on how it works, and Charlestown having done that prior. So we really want to take this next year and focus on, what the future makeup and organizational structure of the district's going to be. We're going to spend a lot of time on that, on looking at the articles of agreement and looking at the functions and the methods. The board has wanted to do that now for a couple of years, and we're really going to push hard through that in the next year out.
Thank you. So at this point, we will be exploring that CEO option. And beginning July 1st, until that CEO is hired through a search process, Chris Young will be continuing to serve as the district's senior educational officer. He will oversee the district's daily operation. He will continue to remain our director of curriculum and instruction, in addition to the other role. He will manage the day-to-day operations. He will also maintain responsibility for the state reporting, compliance requirements, and all student-centered educational activities. Matters. I do hope that some of this clarifies what's been going on for the last few months. We look forward to reaching out to the community at large, the state, and perhaps further to find somebody who wants to take on this district as a leader with this team in place. So at this point, again, we thank this leadership team for all you've done, and we look forward to the next steps. Anything on it? All right, at this time, we will be posting this position. And in the next few weeks, we hope to have some really good candidates that we can then discuss and decide on. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sorry. I think for the public, it's important to be
on?
Hello?
Real close. Not that close.
Moving forward with a CEO, what parameters does the board see as priorities as we continue to look for this individual? Maybe that can be an open discussion right now, so that we can put a job description together in which we can vet out to not only the community, but other people in the education world and CEO world to that may be interested in this role. So.
A few years ago, we had a very large committee that included members of the public, members of the school community, parents, it was a very good cross-section. We spent a lot of time and effort in creating what I call a Mary Poppins list of what would be, what this district needed in terms of a CEO or superintendent at that time. Now we call it a CEO. I think it would make sense to look back at that document, and if there's anything that, I mean, maybe look through it, and if there's stuff on it that no longer is applicable, we could take that off. But there was a lot of effort put into that. I would hate to see all that effort just be like, oh, well, that superintendent left and now we're going to start all over again. It seems like all that work could be put into effort, into use, because I think that the list was very appropriate. So Misty, do you know where that list is? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you got your phone.
Steve and I have one over here. Okay. Okay, so some of the important pieces, I think, from an educational administration standpoint in my 20 years, which isn't a long time, but it's enough to have a thought, that the position should have no less than a master's degree, and that it should be a master's degree in some form of either finance, education, and or leadership, or maybe, all of the, if somebody comes with all three, that's a bonus, right? I think they should have at least 10 or so years of experience in one of those fields, no less than. I think that we would want the person to make a commitment of time to us of no less than 3 days a week. I know that we're still working through, what the financials look like, because we did cut the superintendent line out last year. So we would need at least 3 days a week on site. This is not a remote gig. And then it would be great if they have, some educational background or information in New Hampshire specifically, because folks are wonderful in Connecticut, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, and New York. New Hampshire is its own state with its own set of challenges. And so I really think that when we look, I would hope we would give preference to somebody who has background in New Hampshire. That would be my thought.
And for those 2 days that someone wouldn't be on site, who then would be, we'd be putting Chris. Chris would be taking the reins for those 2 days.
Correct.
Okay.
So we would always have somebody on site. It's not a remote position. Thank you. We'll open it up for public comment at the end of the meeting again. Thank you.
I think the only other aspect that I have been thinking about recently is strategic planning, and be able to use the knowledge within the district to make some decisions to be able to move forward. There's a lot on our plates right now. We need to organize it, be able to systematically go through it and make decisions as we move forward. So being able to have those qualities is definitely important. So with that, we will be putting together a job posting to put out, and we will report back to the board at our next meeting.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions or things they want on the table before we move on? See, is that a hand raise? Seeing none. Not this time. All right. Thank you very much. Our next order of business is the North Walpole School 2-year plan approval. We will be looking for an action from the school board this evening. Go ahead, Jamie.
I motion to approve the North Walpole School 2-year plan as presented with a final decision by November 9th, 2026.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I open this to the board for discussion. Any questions, concerns, or thoughts you want to bring up?
I'm sorry, you go.
I just want to note again that we have to file a plan with the state in order to plan. Okay, so there are multiple items listed in the plan. And we're going to be looking into them in more depth as we move forward towards the November 9th date.
I also want to clarify that this is not a closure, that the plan allows us to continue planning for the next 2 years for what happens to that building. Steve, did you want to add? Okay. Seeing no other questioning faces. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion on the plan passes. Thank you. At this time, I open the floor to Lori Schmidt for a discussion on our fund balance.
Okay, so I did update the financials to reflect the decisions by the board made at the last meeting. That was to include some safety items, and so that's all reflected in the financials that were shared. For our fund balance projections, I have a marginal change. I wanted to point out, I only shared out the expenditures. It's not a full financial statement. And that's because that with our workload, we tend to batch the work for revenues, and our significant revenues had already been collected. So I don't have updated revenues yet. So we were still projecting approximately $385,000 in excess revenues beyond what we had anticipated. After updating the expenditures, and that would be expenditures through the 16th. So we still have a week of activity that's not reflected in here because I wanted to get this to you in advance. We're looking at a projected savings of approximately $400,000. And I just want to point out that's about 1% of the general fund. So that is, I think, fairly tight. So this updated estimate includes all the encumbrances approved by the school board on June 8th. And we also encumbered an additional about $6,900 for a sound system for board meetings and $8,000 for software services to facilitate the organization and accessibility of board policies, agendas, and minutes. We have fully encumbered all of our contractual obligations and routine costs. Again, I emphasize that this does not include supplies or repairs and maintenance unless they were already scheduled. The June 16th report does identify explanations. There were not any significant changes from the May statement. And as always, as we close out the year end, we will be doing additional analysis and providing further explanation. So after saying all of that, I've updated my estimated savings to be a range of $650,000 to $700,000 for the year. We are requesting that you continue discussion about use of some of the additional funds. I'm by no means suggesting that we utilize $650,000 to $700,000. I don't think that would be responsible of us. We do want to send some back for tax reduction. We had a new safety project that was added to the discussion at our last meeting, and that was for grading and gravel at the soccer field, the transportation depot, and then there's a large hole in the pavement behind the building. We did receive a last minute, first I should explain, we called 2 vendors. I know that there was concern about an RFP process. The RFP process is really intended to provide a fair opportunity for people to bid. Trying to turn it around in 2 weeks is not fair. So there's just simply not enough time for an RFP. So what we did is we called two major vendors that are in our area, and that was Arlington Paving from Keene and Bazin Brothers in Vermont. Bazin Brothers is not available and able to do anything for us, so that made that simple. And then Arlington did get back to us today, and let's see, to grade and compact construction and install crushed gravel near the soccer fields. That would be, they've given us a price of $3,000 for the facility building. It was also facility/transportation. That was also $3,000. And then behind the gym, we were looking at, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to turn this over to Joey in a moment because he can better explain the bid and the details. So in total, for all of the locations, it was about $21,000, which was, far more reasonable than I anticipated. So I don't know if you want Joey to speak to this now.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
I have a question. Are we talking about hot patching or cold patching?
Welcome, Joey. Thank you for getting this together.
Hi, Joey Carter, Assistant Facilities Director. So there was 3 gravel areas that were talked about, and it was regrading and regraveling those 3 areas. The transportation building, the 2 soccer fields on the access road, and the gravel area behind the gymnasium between the propane tanks and such. It was $3,000 for the soccer field areas. It was $800 for out behind the gymnasium and $3,000 for the facilities. So $6,800 for the graveling projects. And those graveling projects would not be touched during any future paving projects. So regraveling them, re-straightening them would get us great. The facilities building phased out who knows how many years to actually consider paving it. That needs graveling, shimming, grading, and it will still be in good shape, hopefully, come time to pave it if we get to that point. The next 2 points that they gave us are basically budgetary cost numbers for an area of repaving those rough areas on the access road or in the parking lot. So it's a $4,000 budget line for a 20 by 50 area for them to remove and repave and reconstruct. Or we can go with a $10,500 item for 60 tons of like road shimming, where they could take the dips and the humps and just grade it out with asphalt. So the estimate he gave me was you could put down over 300,000 tons to shim out the access road. So you take that 60 ton for 10,500, do the math out for 300 tons. You're looking at $50,000-$60,000 to just shim and regrade. And that'll be okay for who knows how long. No guarantee, no warranty. It could be junk the next day. It could be junk 6 years later. So it's a cost. No guarantee from them how long it's going to last.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Joey. I appreciate the information. So for now, to do the worst sections, we're looking at around $22,000. And so it would be my understanding that we could still, depending on what kind of decisions we make tonight, if we had an additional 60,000 that was freed up in the next budget out, we could still come back and revisit the shimming of the different areas that aren't fixed by this $22,000 project.
I'm not sure where you're getting 22.
Oh,
So that's what the total was on there. And
The total on the bottom of the sheet is 22.
Yeah.
But those last 2 numbers, the 4,000 and the 10, are just small fragments
Right,
of what you
yes.
could spend.
Yeah.
It
So that-
depends upon the size of the area,
Right.
right?
So if you choose to do a 20-foot by 50-foot area, that would be 4,000. We've got way more area than that.
So do you have okay, so the next question then, because when I read that, I thought they were giving us a, for instance, this
No.
is what a 10
They're
by
giving
50
you a small snippet of what
Oh.
a small spot would cost because they
Okay.
didn't come out. They only had a
Right,
short
yeah,
period of time.
I
They didn't come out and
understand.
measure our access.
Right, right.
So they just kind of did a drive-through
Yeah.
and said, well, this is a snippet. This
Yeah.
is a different snippet of
Yeah.
if we shim it versus actually chop out and replace a section.
Okay. So it was for instances and
So it
allowing
would
us.
be up to the board and administration to figure out how much money do we have. And then for me to go back out with them and mark the parking lot,
Got it.
the access road, and then for them to actually come back with a number
Sure.
that would
Totally
hopefully be
understand.
within our range of budget.
Okay, thank you. I
So
get
the-
it now.
Just to clarify, so the 21,000 is just for gravel grading? That's
No.
what you're talking about?
The 21,000 is an irrelevant number at the bottom. I'm not sure why they even tallied it at the bottom.
Okay.
The top three lines, the 3, the 8, and the 3, so that 6,800 would get us the gravel. That is a full project cost. The two bottom numbers are just numbers they threw out to give us for instance, if you did an area this size, our area is way bigger than that, way bigger. So it's just something we would have to use those for mathematical equations to figure out, all right, if we want to do this much footage on the road, we figure out the square footage and use their number to calculate that, figure out a ballpark budget. Because they were like, we don't know your budget, so we can't even begin to spend the time tracking out the parking lot because almost the entire driveway is patches now. You know, the whole roadway is patches and there's no guarantee that anything's going to stick to any of that. You're putting a patch over a patch over a patch.
Go ahead, Steve.
Excuse me, the graveling aspects aside, this is just the paving I want to talk about. When it comes time to do it right, are we going to grind all that up?
Yes, sir.
Oh, God. That's what I thought. I just wanted to hear it.
Or we do the gravel parts where we can't even drive a bus through and we're damaging our vehicles and we get us through to, safety on those pieces. And then we continue the project that we already have in place. We didn't get past this spring and we readjust what we have going on.
I had a different or.
Okay, then let's hear your or.
Or what was chatted about before was cold patching the big holes and praying that it lasts a little while so we can hopefully, get to where 10, 11 years later from when I was here, pave it.
So if I can comment that our groundskeeper 3 times a year on average is cold patching the holes to try to take care of the potholes. So we're already doing that bit 3 times a year. And I think this year we went in excess of like 6 ton of just patching potholes. It doesn't stay. The plows just rip it out.
I know. I totally know. I tried to do it 12 years.
Thank you, Joey. So on this project, go ahead, Chris, did you have another question?
No, I don't have any questions. I would certainly be in favor of the gravel, but I would continue with the coal patch until we get to the next season.
Would you like to put a motion on the table?
If someone would like to write it for me, yes. I'd be, like to make the motion of we move forward with the 6,800 to straighten out those gravel areas that were discussed.
Second.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I would really like to thank Joey for putting this together and for the administration, the leadership team for seeing that it needed to be done. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes to do the 3 separate sections with the surplus from this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, so then we move on to equipment purchases. I just left the items that had been previously suggested, which was purchasing one or two buses outright, purchase it, like paying off the lease for the van that we had to purchase this year, and purchasing a facility van that's in the budget to lease for next year. I know that there was a question as to whether or not we needed to move forward with that second van as was budgeted. And the assessment on that was that, yes, we do. I don't know if either of you want to speak to that. Yeah, if you guys have questions, if you want to discuss it. I know that there was, I guess, hesitation to move forward with that previously. So it's on the list, and whatever you guys wish to discuss, obviously. Yeah.
It is in the budget. And so this is just a matter of using surplus for it so that we save the interest cost.
It's yes, it is in the budget for a lease. I will be upfront and just say that we have not had an opportunity yet to look to verify that there's something local that we could actually purchase with this short notice, this turnaround. But it would need to be something that we would need to do by the end of the year, which is in a week.
Just to reiterate from the last meeting, anything we can do to avoid leasing and cut our interest expense, especially if we can do it with surplus funds this year, and especially if that frees up money next year to deal with some other things such as a CEO, I support.
Hold on one sec. Go ahead, Chris.
My comment's the same as last meeting. We purchased one, but I support leasing the other one because we don't know what staffing is going to be in the future.
I have a question about, so the recommendation is 142,000 to purchase new buses?
Each bus costs 142,000.
And then after 8 years, we cycle those out?
Yes.
So 142,000 only gets us 8 years?
Correct. Otherwise, it's about 66,000 for 5 years. Each year for 5 years with the lease.
And what typically happens to a bus after 8 years? Do we sell it? Do we recoup anything?
We trade it in with so we are not holding on to them. We update our spares as need be, but then we trade in the buses as well, and so we can get as much as we can.
On average, how much do we get on a trade?
Not a lot.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like 10 to 15, 12, 15, something like that.
Wow.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are not easy miles.
No.
All concerned about breakdowns, nobody respond. So that's where they end up going.
So I have a question on, before a decision on this one, because I'm adding up what we're looking at. I have a question on the new consideration request.
Yes. No. Yes. So the request was submitted this last week that we look at playground addition for Walpole Elementary School. And we had that quote that I included, sent out to you for $75,000. It did have different components to that. So if we wanted to not go with the full proposal, we would have that option. And then we also are concerned about air conditioning on the third floor for the same building. We have had days where it's 100 degrees up there because we don't have air conditioning. So we were working on trying to put together a proposal and a ballpark cost, and I'm not sure where we landed with that. I don't think that we're looking at mini splits. We're looking at some sort of a solution.
A solution being something like window units?
Yes. Is that where we landed? That was one? Okay.
So yeah, we did look at the option of window units, for example, what Charlestown Middle School has. The concern there is, number one, you have to find a power for those. So where are you going to get electricity for those? Because those are 220 outlets. You got to come from somewhere. Could come from anywhere in the school, from any one of the multiple electrical panels, or have to create an additional sub panel off of a panel to create the electricity supply for those. Energy efficiency wise, that's not a great idea. All those big air conditioners cranking all day long, it's not an efficient way to cool the building. And in long term, you're spending a lot of electricity. I reached out to E&E, which is the company that oversees our control systems for our heating and cooling. They got back to me 15 minutes before this meeting with an email. Big ballpark, because they had zero time to put anything together. You're looking at a rough number of under 100, close to 100 grand to do the primary school down at Walpole. And it was 360 plus thousand to do a whole building air conditioning system up at the elementary school. Originally, I think I misunderstood Justin's request, and I think Lori took it the same way, is that we were looking for the third floor because those rooms upstairs do get really, really hot. But in essence, the efficiency-wise, we should look to the future and look for time to find the right funds, do it the right way, and do a whole building air conditioning system. Because these one-room air conditioners are just going to be really, really difficult and really expensive long-term.
So if I'm hearing you correctly.
Very
then-
little research has been put into this.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, not enough time.
Okay, so an air conditioning solution is not within, it sounds like it's not within the surplus we have currently.
not unless you want to do that room air conditioner for each room. And I think, what you've got 30 classrooms in your building. So that would just, add about $1,000 per air conditioner. And who knows what the electrical expenses would come to be.
And they have a short-term lifespan, and so we'd be
Right.
replacing them shortly.
Yeah. It's something that definitely needs to be looked into further.
Thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
I believe there were some numbers by Johnson Controls when Lori was here.
Other Lori.
And I'd recommend you look at them. There was a reason why they didn't go on the Warren articles, because they were significant to put those things in our buildings.
So we have broken our contract with them. We went through some legal costs to break that contract. Doesn't alleviate the fact that we had installed controls, but we have severed our relationship with them.
But as Chris was saying, we probably still have the information that they put together for us. So we could use it as a reference point. Go ahead, Jamie.
So at this point, because that seems premature, and I won't tell you what I think about air conditioning in old schools, because they would be here all night. Sorry, I've managed a few. So I think we take that off of the list. We need to, this just points again to the fact we need a facilities and maintenance committee to look into all this stuff that's really big. Can we go back to the playground? Thank you, Joe.
Before we do that, I just want to acknowledge that Justin Casarino is here, and I do believe I saw you concurring with taking this off the list.
Yes. One of the biggest things is that, like we were talking about, just to plan for the future, because with now, second grade all the way to eighth grade being there, and there was 3 days, like 2 weeks ago, that we had to move window units. We had like 3, we took them out of certain spots, put them in classrooms, and we piled the whole grade level in there. Luckily it was the end of the year, so they were just helping with packing and stuff like that, but it was significantly hot. So it's just kind of something that we need to have on our mind to start planning for. Looking into.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jamie.
So back to the playground thing. I'm not sure. Is that on there because we moved littles down?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now I understand why. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you.
So the current, with us bringing second through fourth grade over, the current structure up there isn't really good enough for them to use. And so we're looking at other options. We've started a playground committee. We've met a few times. We've started some fundraising, coming up with plans. But then, with this opportunity of being able to get this, and this 75,340, that includes the installation, the mulch, the ADA matting that's required. That's everything. So we just think that this is a great opportunity to get this in. It's 6 weeks to get everything in place to us. And then after that, so we'd probably be looking at like a mid-September installation and everything. But this would get us everything that we need for those grade levels that's needed for it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Karen.
Is this a middle of the road sort of playground play set, or is it like all encompassing, or where are we at?
So our playground committee, we first did our hopes and dreams, and we saw that was over like $100,000. So we went back and looked at everything of, all right, what can we provide that has a climbing structure? What can we provide that has slides, imaginative play? And this is what we were able to find. I actually reached out to the company and said, this is what we're looking for. Can you please provide us with some options? And this was one of the ones that they provided, and we really liked this one and felt like it was a really good fit.
And where would this go? Because you have 2 playgrounds right now, right?
Yep, it would be at the top school at Walpole Elementary School. Joey already did like the measuring and everything of where it would be placed and everything. So you're not removing any structures. It's just placing a new structure for second through fourth and even fifth graders to be able to access.
Just a follow-up. But for the third and fourth, they could go down to the lower playground.
You could, and we discussed that by the time you get down there and everything, especially with winter, by the time they get their boots and everything on and get down there, you have like 2 minutes before you're turning around. But
And we chose not to move any of the equipment from North Walpole.
that's correct.
So I have a question for Lori. This 650,000 to 700,000 has been pretty consistent across what you've shown us, but we had some safety projects that we were looking at doing and using the individual surpluses in each of our 5 towns. So are those?
Those are factored into that, yes.
They are.
They are. We continue to, so I had a range, a little bit of a larger range. There was more margin in the savings and because I always give a conservative number. But so as the time has progressed and we put those encumbrances in for those other safety projects, this is where I'm comfortable with right now. But I mean, like, if you look at my excess revenue and my projected savings, I'm just under 800 grand. So it still is a conservative.
Go ahead,
amount.
Jamie.
So I vaguely looked at the individual towns.
Mhm.
And right now, if we were to give this project a go-ahead, it would come out of Walpole's surplus,
Yes.
right? They have enough surplus
Yes.
to cover this.
Yes,
Okay. So it wouldn't negatively impact
correct,
anybody else.
correct.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Krista.
So the money that is surplus in each town, it's not capital reserve money. This is true surplus that would be spent towards each town's safety project.
Yes, so
Okay.
with Walpole, there was a savings in capital reserve, but that's their true surplus still would cover this project.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions for Lori or any other administrators on this topic? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I do. So I know there'll be discussion, Chris, but I'm going to make a motion having done the rough math on this. Yeah, I'm going to let you and Steve deal with the other two. I don't know. I'm going to make a motion that we purchase the two buses outright, which will leave us savings in the regular budget of about 66,000, and that we give the go-ahead on the Walpole playground project as it's self-sustaining.
Do I have a second? And discussion on the motion?
I'm split. There's two different issues.
You want me to do them separate?
Yeah.
Sarah, you want to withdraw your?
My second. Okay, Mr. Varone. I'll make a motion that we purchase outright the two buses at 142,640 each for 285,280, which will leave behind savings in the 26-27 budget of 66,348. 52 cents.
Sarah, do you want to second that motion? All right. Is there any discussion on the purchase of two buses? Go ahead, Chris.
Lori, so what method is this coming from?
It is a method for 4, I believe. And yeah, it's 3 or 4, and it gets spread across everything. Like you guys have the articles of agreement right there.
3 is technology. Okay.
No, 5 is technology.
5 is, okay. Well, 4 is bus fleet. 3 is building replacement.
And no, I don't have the breakdown by community.
You can get you.
I won't ask what the tax impact is at this point. I just wanted to know which one of the complex methods you had to use.
Are there any other questions, concerns?
Who has the oldest buses right now?
I think it was Charlestown because we were having difficulties with the Freightliners, and the Freightliners are going away, and so these should be. You're welcome.
All right. Seeing no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we authorize the purchase of the two buses to save next year's budget. Thank you for bringing that. Do you want to make your next motion?
I'd like to make the next motion. So I will make a motion that we allow for Walpole to make a late addition expenditure from their own budget for a playground to accommodate the 2nd through 5th graders in the amount of approximately $75,340.
Discussion on the motion.
Does that mean the fundraising goes away?
Well, we can, there's some pieces that like the committee's talked about of like getting spinners, which is, I think they're like 1,200 a piece. So we can continue to do that, but that's a separate piece that we don't have to continue to really ask for as much and raise as much. So.
Oh, I don't.
All right. Do you want to? I believe Sarah seconded. Are there any other discussions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
1 abstention. The motion passes. And thank you to the committee that's been fundraising for this. We appreciate the work that's gone into it, and now you can do the extras. So the 2 items that are still on the list are the facility vans, the one we already own, and the potential new van that is in next year's budget. Does anybody want to move forward with these 2 items? Seeing none,
I want to ask a question. Are these I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting. Is this replacing the van that's falling apart?
So we had a van that fell apart that we replaced, but we leased it. And so one of these is paying off the lease. And then we have another van that we wanted to replace next year because we're trying to get back into a cycle. Because we actually had two vans that were unusable this year. That we couldn't inspect them. They wouldn't pass inspection because of the undercarriage and the rust. We're looking at purchasing a second van, but again, we were going to fund it through lease is how we proposed to fit in the budget, just for cost, like an immediate cost savings within the year, recognizing that lease is more expensive. That's not what I'd like to do. We were trying to meet all needs by proposing a lease.
Go ahead, Chris.
So this lease is already in the current budget.
Yeah, so the budget for next year, for 27, has
27.
for the 26-27 school year, the budget that just passed and would take effect on July 1st, has 2 lease vehicles in there.
And we have surplus to cover both of these? Okay. With the understanding that there'll be no leasing, I would make a motion to do both of them. Yeah.
What is the total that you have currently if we do every project?
So the rough ciphering coming off of 750,000, because I'm more conservative than you are.
No, less conservative.
Oh, no. If we got 800 left, that's good. If we have 750, then my number is going to be lower, right? Okay. So 750 less 285, less the 75 for Walpole will leave behind about 390.
So doing all of these projects would save us about 90,000 in next year's budget total.
Got to assume that 12 is twice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So 66, 70, 80, 90. You're going to spend out another 100. So you're going to be down around, if it's 800, we'll be down around giving back 300. Sorry.
If it's on target and you approve those two to come out of the monies remaining, then it will bring it down to about 300,000 to go back against taxes.
Assessments.
The facilities are in method 3, the facility vehicles.
Already made a motion.
I'll second it.
Any other questions or thoughts on the motion? Go ahead, Krista.
The 650 to 700 estimated savings is separate from the amounts of money that are in each town's budget, or is this part of that?
So that is the overall savings for the
For all of-
district. So the
okay.
individual towns are.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
But the distinction was made because these others are from methods that are allocated across all of them.
We are going to wait for Steve to come back before we vote on this motion.
You told me what his vote was, but it doesn't count. You could have took them, I thought.
No, I'm very glad he didn't.
Sorry.
In the interim, Laura, do you know what method 3's breakdown is?
Right in front of you, you have the document that Ms. Shaughnessy brought.
Didn't have it listed.
I mean, it's adjusted based on the building replacement cost, but no, I don't have that offhand.
I bet it hasn't
It's
moved
it's not,
over the years, three.
it's
Only
probably
very
not
slightly
moved a
after
lot.
the insurance assessments.
Yeah, it's based on this.
It's based on the district's assessments of total value.
All right. All in favor of purchasing the new facility van and paying off the lease for the vehicle purchase this year?
Chris Spalding votes no.
Well, I asked for in favor. I'll let you have your moment in this. So I'm not hearing anybody in favor? Oh,
Yeah. I thought we were doing it in order.
oh, no, we don't have to. It's just a voice vote. So if you want to raise your hand since we know it's
Are we
contested.
doing them both together?
Yeah.
Those are, yeah.
Unless somebody wants to ask for them to be separate, and we'll change the motion. All in favor? 4 in favor, all opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you.
So I do believe this is contingent on being able to get a leased vehicle this year.
A purchase, yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm so sorry.
Contingent upon finding
Find
a
one
vehicle that
locally.
we can sign by the 30th.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Some of the rates are, anyway, not least. Our next order of business is goal setting. Everybody had an opportunity to fill out a document and bring your 3 top goals for the board this year together. I actually had a difficult time opening it. It kept sending me in a loop between logging in and then it would tell me I was not logged in and I just kept going around and around. So I would like to express that my one and only goal this year above others is to pull the committee together to look at the apportionment formulas. And so I appreciate all the others that are put out there. So I open this floor up for discussion on those items.
I'll apologize for not filling it out right now, but that is my top priority goal as well. The getting us to where we can be a cooperative that's moving in the right direction again.
Chris?
You can take it.
No, I thought Chris had a question. Rock, paper, scissors.
I agree with Jamie. I think I did my homework. I kept telling everybody I did my homework, right? Okay, good. Well, everybody kept telling me to, so. I agree with Jamie. It's the methods in the article. Those really will set this in the right process. There are other things we certainly need to look at. I think we can at the same time, but that should be our priority goal this year.
I really feel like getting the leadership organized and going is a really important thing. And because that is contingent upon being able to do the organization of the SAU as a whole. And that includes the articles of agreement and all of those. And then, of course, fiscal responsibility. Those all go together. They're hand in hand.
Go ahead, Krista.
This is the survey that we did. So I concur with the financial responsibility part of it and efficiency. Once that might take us a while. My second one was student performance. And my last one was the efficiency. So financial responsibility at the top, I feel like that's a really important piece, and that everything else will fall in line once we get the organization and the financial part, like Sarah said.
Yeah, I think we're all sort of hitting on the same things. I also listed as my top one, looking at the articles of agreement and revising those so that, which to me also comes under the guise of looking at the financials. And I mean, we're going through a lot of changes right now in our state, our district. And I think we have to consider all of those changes now and what's potentially coming, and make ourselves more fiscally sound so that we can endure what's coming and survive.
I get a little philosophical here, perhaps. We invest, not spend, in education. And right now, including time value of money, it costs almost $500,000 to produce one high school graduate. $500,000. Ultimately, if we want our schools to be healthy, and some might not appreciate this phrase, but we've got to be focused on turning learners into earners. Because if we don't, who's going to pay for the next generation of schooling? I think we probably do well for the kids that are college bound. And I don't know that we need too much change of focus there. And I don't know how many students don't go to college out of Fall Mountain High School. I'm going to guess half, but I could be well off. I think it's time to invest. Every college that I know of, certainly bigger ones, have placement counselors where they, have arrangements with employers and try to get kids placed once they graduate. I'd like to see if we can do that here, not for the college-bound kids, but for the non-college bound kids, to have some non-certified personnel here, one person, that'll establish relationships with area employers. I say non-certified because I want them out there. This is not really education as much as this is vocational. And to give our students, to have them have an assessment doesn't mean they can't take the courses they want to take. They can take whatever they want to take. But to have an assessment maybe coming into the high school to say, what's the best glide path into adulthood for this child? And at least provide that guidance, even if they don't adhere to it. So I would like to see us hire, not necessarily somebody full-time, part-time, and someone who came out of the private sector, ideally. And I say that because approximately 85% of all employment is private sector employment. And yet, and I understand why, but we use public sector employees to educate what will eventually be 85% of a private sector workforce. And it is a different mindset. Public schools are very insular, and to some extent that's important, but they are very insular, almost womb-like. And then these kids get out of here with that high school diploma, and that environment ends. And they now enter, for lack of a better term, the real world. And, they're not going to have the caring that they get here. They've got to toughen up, and they've got to accept that they need a glide path into life. And I'd like to see us help them with that, especially for the kids that aren't going on to college, or even for that matter, the trade schools. Those children will probably find a path as well. But the ones that walk out of here with just a diploma, and God knows a high school diploma today is maybe not what it was 75 years ago. I think it's time to be looking hard at that. Oh, and the other two I had was just a greater focus in the middle school and elementary schools on literacy and numeracy, especially numeracy. And then I kind of misspoke here on my third one. I said, now that Charlestown and Walpole are done, we need a consolidation plan for the Alsted attendance area. Charlestown is done. Walpole was done in the sense that we're getting down to 2 buildings. But I still think there may be some possibilities for rearranging where students go to school that could be more cost effective and better educationally. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from the board?
I would just like to say that I think the leadership priority we have moved forward on based on the earlier discussion in this meeting. And so I'm very excited that we're already starting to meet some of these goals. The next that we've heard fairly across the board is the methods of apportionment and articles of agreement, that type of thing. We have committed to putting a group together to meet that goal. And so at this point, I would like to see that move forward if everybody on this board is ready to put that call out for volunteers.
Volunteer.
We have
I have had community members that have been asking about when that call is going to go back out again. So I know that Ackworth's ready.
We know Charlestown's ready. And I think the other 3 towns are as well.
Ackworth's ready partially with the concept that our numbers in our school are going to be really small next year. And so looking at the longevity of the Ackworth school. And so Ackworth is very interested in participating in discussion because they see the writing on the wall.
One more thing to add, because we heard from the state rep tonight about the change in the law. I do support looking at the articles of agreement. I do agree they need to be changed. We need to exercise some caution about the manner in which we do that, because if we don't do it the right way, we could be right back to where we were a year ago, where towns are looking to exit because they're not going to be victimized.
That's very true. I would absolutely recommend that we welcome our representatives to this committee. I know that there is a bill out there, and I'm not sure if it's passed or not, about requiring a separate SAU budget. And so that is not something we have currently. And so I do believe if it's not for this coming year, that it is coming very, very soon, that the state will be requiring us to separate our budgets anyway. So we need to consider all those factors when we're going through this process. Go ahead, Jamie.
So in looking into that bill, though, I believe the manner in which we were put together is different than what that bill speaks to, but I'll get back to you because I spoke to the people in Plymouth, and you have to have individual, it's different, and I don't think it affects us right now, that one.
I'd like to believe that, but yeah, crazier things have happened. So we do have a list of people who had volunteered a year ago or so to, actually, I think it was 2 years now.
Mhm.
And so between now and the next meeting, I think we can work on some different proposals to put that request back out there. So we'll finalize that at the next meeting. Does that work for you? Okay, thank you. Are there any other thoughts on goals that we should have and a plan to put that in place?
Just a question. I don't know how many meetings ago, we talked about the different committees that we wanted to form, and we all kind of signed up for a different committee. Where are we with those and moving forward, other than this big one?
We have that later on the agenda.
Okay.
If you don't mind waiting till then.
I see it now.
All right, seeing nothing else, we will move on, but I appreciate it, the work everybody did to put those goals together, the creativity, and also recognizing the unity we have on this board and moving forward. So I appreciate that. Do we need? Okay, then on to new business. Our first order is an unbudgeted request for a paraprofessional. And I believe Xandra will be presenting to us. Yeah. Handout, thanks.
Just very briefly, I want to tell you that the request has to do with a student with special education needs. So it's something that just recently came up. That's about the extent that I can speak to that. Sure.
So on the request, it said it was a one-time request. But if it's
Correct.
going to be ongoing for years,
It may not be ongoing for years.
fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, is it the special ed budget? Yes. Oh, it is. Okay.
So if I understand, this is for the remainder of the FY26 budget, which ends June 30th.
Next year's budget.
So it's unbudgeted for next year. Okay, thank you.
Go for it. Here you are.
My question is, with all the changes that we've just made for surplus funds, what does this look like?
Next year. Next year's budget.
It is.
Can't affect anything from this year. It goes down.
In the interest of being able to discuss the motion, I make a motion that we approve the unbudgeted, where's the thing? I can't see it on here. That we approve the unbudgeted request for a paraprofessional.
So it actually doesn't begin until July 1st.
Correct.
Okay, so. Sorry.
Second.
Okay, now you.
Thank you. I've been really rolling this around, so I apologize.
That's why I'm your chair.
I do appreciate it. Okay, so now that the motion is on the table, are there any other questions or concerns with this unbudgeted request?
I assume you've looked at other schools and where their needs are, and there isn't like a paraprofessional that we already have on board that we could move over?
I have looked at other. Yeah. The one thing I will share with the board that'll come up in a future meeting is we do have some revenue that will be coming our way. I can't speak specifically at this moment in time, but just wanted, because I heard your question about how this will be impacted, but you're going to hear in the future board meetings, some revenue we're going to have coming in due to some of our programs. So,
Okay, we look forward to that.
okay.
All right. We have a motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel budget? I'm sorry, the personnel list.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the personnel approval list? Seeing.
Thank you to everybody who has been with us, and we will miss those retiring. Congratulations. And they know who they are, because I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything. Okay.
All in favor?
Can I just ask one thing? The transfer, where it says CPS, but where is it? Is it transferring from CPS to somewhere else? Oh, that's where they're going. Okay, that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think you already did that.
Did we actually? Well, then there was a question.
Sorry. That was me.
All right, thank you. Misty has put together a summer schedule for us. So I open it up for discussion.
Sorry, I think there was some question on the July 13th meeting and if we were going to have a quorum. So I wanted to double check.
I will not be here on the 13th, but I know that Sarah could run this just beautifully without me.
What? As long as I remember that.
Misty would remind you.
I might be here. I have to drop people at the airport, so I may be able to make it here. I'll do my very best.
So Sarah.
I don't know if your microphone's on.
Is it? Can you hear me?
Kind of.
Okay, I might be here on the 13th. I have to take my family to the airport. I should be here by 5:30. So there's a possibility.
I think we have a quorum.
Okay.
Fantastic. So I don't believe there was any other changes to.
Is the question?
I think we have.
Is that, it's a Monday, right? Yeah.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Regular
Chris
meeting.
is there. We have a quorum.
I'll be here.
All right, good. Then I don't see anything else. Are there any other dates on there that anybody wants to discuss?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting too.
I think it's on the school year calendar. Would you explain to us where it is?
Yeah, what we're looking at.
So the board agreed to meet on a regular schedule through July and August. So it's your second and fourth Monday through the summer. Also included on this agenda and in your packet was the 26-27 school year calendar. So that we can talk about next. Yep. I would like to say that I did start on the budget timeline today. So next meeting, I'm hoping to have a draft budget timeline. So there will be some additional meetings added to this draft calendar, but this is where we are right now, just for your regular schedule.
I'm sorry, when I click on the school board meeting calendar, it comes up the school year calendar. So.
It is the school year calendar.
Okay.
Your meeting.
Oh, they're the pink ones. Thank you.
So really the only difference is that we are meeting twice a week on our regular schedule because we do have a lot of work to do with those priorities that those goals we just set mean that we have a lot of work to do. And so instead of taking the months off and then having a retreat in August and coming back together, we will just continually meet. Any other discussion? No. All right. Then we have presented the 26-27 school board calendar review. Those are the. Okay.
I just.
All right. The next item. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to bring this up to, I think there are some things that, at least me as a newbie to this, not the budget committee, but to this, that I think that are important, that would help me at least when certain contract things, there's a time period, whether it's April or January, at least those dates, so we can see they're coming. So it just mentally jogs my mind. It's in the calendar. Just because those dates are important and we need to vote around those. So, and it also would make us all accountable, the entire group of us, that this has to be discussed beforehand before we get to those voting periods.
It's a good suggestion. All right. The next order is that committee meeting schedule. So the committees that we had put forward have not started meeting. So we have started working the negotiations starting. That's okay. Well, we can talk. Yep. But other committees in terms of policy committee and things like that, we kind of stepped back a bit because the new system that we will be trying out does make that very, very easy. And so we start with that trial July 1st?
We're signing on, so it's not a trial. We are actually moving right into it. So.
Doing it. Waiting for this for 3 years.
I know you have.
So excited.
So when will that roll?
Probably full up and running by the start of the school year. So we'll be using the summer to get everything migrated over. And it's going to take a little bit, but I expect by the beginning of the school year we'll be up and running.
Do you want us to wait for the policies to be put into that program before we meet as a policy committee?
So I've been doing some legwork on some of our policies, especially the ones that are required by law. And so I'm hoping it's probably a blend of both. I'm hoping to bring some policies forward this summer that really need some attention. And then we'll also use the system to get us completely up to date.
Yeah. I think that does sound good. Does that work for your thought process?
Yeah, can we at some point, I guess, sort of see what the system is that, that'd be great. 'Cause I don't know what that looks like. That'd be helpful. Huh? You've worked with it?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's policy committee. Are there any other committee reports that anybody would like to make? Budget?
They're very happy with all the information they've been getting, and they're working through and looking at things, and they did give me some questions which I was able to respond to. But so far our meetings they're fruitful, they're going well, they have a lot of information and they're appreciative of it.
Good. And you meet the first Wednesday of every month. Is that still going forward?
Yeah, I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month. Yes.
Okay.
It's at 6, I think, instead of 6 or 6:30, it's not 5:30, I don't believe.
Go ahead, Lori.
Just wanted to say that I've been working on updating the index that was used for the budget process to ensure that we have all versions in there. Almost there. Not quite yet.
Thank
you. Good.
I'd like to have Chris Young give us an update on the curriculum piece he's been working on that I had a good hour to sit with him and look at.
So we have made some substantial growth in the curriculum for the K-8. We are looking at going to competency-based education as we move into 26-27 school year. Competencies are vastly different than what our current model is, but it provides systems in which students are to meet certain proficiencies in each grade. And they're continuing through each grade level. So one grade relates to the next grade, which relates to the next grade. So it's a system that we are going to use our programs as resources and use the curriculum to guide our instructional processes as we move forward. And that is a discussion that we've had and will continue to have as we move into next year. On top of that, now that we are working pretty hard on the K-8 curriculum, we are also looking at reporting, which is going to be our biggest thing for next year. You'll see new report cards. We're going to start small. We're going to start with K-4 as the primary focus for next year and get those out. We already did a test pilot with our first grade last year. So some families already kind of have a view of what that's going to look like. We've made some pretty significant advances in the past year, and I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see those as we move into middle school into high school, and that's going to be our next step. So it's grading and then the middle school into the high school and looking at that transition as they progress into that next level.
And this is all going to be in like written in a document, so to speak, right?
So there are documents that the teachers have vastly different documents that than the public will see. The public will see a version of it. The teachers need the in-depth version to be able to do their daily instruction. What will be nice is that as we move forward, the public will be able to see a synopsis of what's happening in, say, English in 5th grade and English in 8th grade, and it will be the same through all attendance areas. So this curriculum is going to really put us in line from attendance area to attendance area, still utilizing the programs as resources, but not as a turn the page, here's the next thing, turn the page, here's the next lesson. It gives a little bit more flow and creativity. We are professional educators here, and we need to utilize their skills to be able to meet the needs of our diverse students. So that this is ultimately going to provide that as we move forward.
Thank you.
What do you call this new program or system?
So I won't, competency-based ed's been around for about 20 years. It's not new. The curriculum that we have had with past administration, we have viewed curriculum as a program. And when you really look at curriculum is a document that guides our instruction. And they're two separate entities that kind of work simultaneously to support our students. So we're not moving away from any model. We're not changing a whole lot. We're just creating documents that have the flow from one grade to the next and the standards that are going to be taught in. We're focusing on language arts, math, science, and social studies. And we also did our specials in the lower grades too, so that you'll see physical education and music and some of the others that are associated with the arts have been done. So we've made some good gains this year. Continue to make them into next year.
All right. Does anybody have any other thing they want to bring forward regarding our committees? Seeing none, we do have, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I agree with Jamie in her previous statement. Facilities committee would be very beneficial, and yes, I accept. I'll be on that committee.
Thank you. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. The next order of business, we want to acknowledge a donation from the Claremont Savings Bank Foundation. They do support our communities, and this will go towards our Title I summer school. So much appreciation to them for that. No, just acknowledge.
So this donation is going to go for Alstead and Charlestown. Our Title I summer camp is held in Charlestown. They're going to do an end of the year trip. They're basing their whole curriculum, their 3-week curriculum on science. And they're going to be going to Storyland to engage in some water activities and looking at how that, how the science behind that. So.
Fantastic. So before we go into non-public, I did acknowledge that we would open up for public comment again. If anybody would like to step to the podium and announce their name and where they're from. Would you mind speaking into the mic? It allows the people on Zoom to hear you. Can you hear me?
They can. Just keep talking.
Okay. All right. I'm Raya. I live in North Walpole. I just had a question about the CEO model and why our expectation is for them to be here only 3 days a week versus a full 5. And wouldn't we want them maybe to spend some time at each school as they're getting familiar with our district, get to know each of like the Walpole, the Charlestown, Alstead, and maybe come up with a model for improvement. So I just was thinking in that line. And I think they should have experience in a rural community, school and or, have lived in, grown up in. So just a thought. And will you have community members as part of this?
So it was at a minimum 3 days. We're working with a default budget. So it's probably going to be more apparent on what we can afford to do once we start getting the resumes in, once we have the job description finalized from the HR department. And I don't think the board would be opposed to having somebody here full time, right? It's just a matter of we have to work within some constraints. So there'll be more information coming as soon as we have had a chance to, discuss it a little further, I'm sure.
And then can I just ask one more?
All right, but I do want to clarify that we do have somebody on site 5 days a week between that person and Chris Young, who is certainly looking at the district with the best intention. So there is somebody on site all week long who knows the district.
Mm-hmm. And just with the whole North Walpole school closure, whatever we're going to do with it, is it just up to all of you folks when you're doing the discussion of the options? Are you inviting anybody to volunteer to be a part of the discussion, to give ideas, consideration, or no?
So there was already a public forum held or feedback to be given. And so what's in this plan has checkpoints going forward about how things are going and what we want to do. So we haven't rolled out drawing in committees or things like that. But at this point, there's no specific, we're doing XYZ on XYZ date, but we will take that request suggestion into account.
I think for anything, it would be great to open it up to families, community members who might want to be involved and help you. So
thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Seeing none, then may I have a motion to go into non-public? For A and B purposes. How do you vote, Chris? I'm sorry, we have to do a roll call for non-public.
Yes.
Krista?
Karen, yes.
Yes.
Amy, yeah. There you go.
Alyssa, yes. So as we go into non-public, thank you all for being here today.
No.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Do it.
I will not see you on the 13th.
Have fun.
I will be in San Diego.
San Diego.